And I will share the recording afterwards with all registered participants, because already a few emails reached me before this event asking for the recording because you cannot manage even though they were registered. So then let's start what we want to do today. We do the welcoming, which I did a minute ago. And we will start actually with some context and a greeting by the Commission, done by George.
Yes.
And so, George, take it away and tell us a little bit what we are doing here.
Thank you, Stefan, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm George Păunescu. I work at the European Commission, the Director General for Energy, in the unit that deals with research, innovation, and digitalization files. And I prepared a small presentation, but okay, let me see. Now I think it works. I'll just try to share my screen with you. I hope you can see it now, or if not, it's coming up.
It's coming. It's yeah.
Okay. I wanted in a few minutes to give you a bit of insights. Where does the policy stand for that? What were the policy triggers for the actions that you'll see today presented by Stefan Omar? And introducing you a bit, let's say, putting you behind the policy scene, understanding a bit the thinking behind all this. So I'll start with the main trigger, which is the action plan on digitalizing the energy system that you have. Some of you might be probably a bit familiar with. It was launched a couple of years ago, and now the implementation is in full swing. In the action plan, we are looking at actions to cater for both facets of the story. So the opportunities of digitalization, looking at how we can promote investments for that, enhance data exchanges and interoperability among different players across the value chain, bring benefit for consumers, but also looking at the challenges that are inherent to digitalization, for instance, cybersecurity, which is widely quoted, and now the energy consumption, especially now with the advent of data centers. So that was the background, and I'll focus on the area of promoting investments in grids, because there we have two key actions that we are implementing now. One is to start working with the relevant actors to develop digital twins of the electricity grids, basically. And it was good to see a commitment right from the beginning from the grid operators, and the declaration of intent signed by ENTSO-E and the DSO Entity in December 2022 to cooperate on implementing the actions and bringing forward key concepts for that. And in view of that, it was created a joint task force. Many of you might be part of that. And we have two projects funded under Horizon Europe. One is the Twin EU project, which is quite a large project with a duration of 3 years. I think 30 million is the overall budget, 25 from the European funding. But my intention is not to enter into details there, just to mention it. And the DSO4DT project that colleagues here will bring you full details in a few minutes. And we have another action there to work with the regulators and the associations of regulators to define indicators, common indicators for developing smart grids, and in close consultation with the grid operators, the ENTSO-E and the DSO Entity again. And the first concepts were, so the approach was presented last year at the European Energy Infrastructure Forum. And this year, we should see the main developments presented again to the forum, to the member states, and all the other stakeholders. So these are the two main actions included in the action plan, and these are the triggers for including for the discussion of today. But that brings the question, perhaps, why focusing on digital twins? And I'm just quoting here some of the objectives because I think they are quite self-explanatory. And this is the basically a copy-paste from the declaration of intent of DSOs and DSOs that I've mentioned before, and it looks at establishing this better in more detail, these concepts. Of course, they are not new, but yeah, we need a more convergent view on this. And even looking at the grid services and coordination of views and investments in some key areas, the observability, controllability, that needs to be improved, especially at the DSO level. We need to do a better infrastructure and network planning in view of electrification and system integration. Operations, of course, those are central to, and active system management, essential to the grid transformation. Very importantly and interestingly, strengthening the links between the DSOs and DSOs and all the data exchanges in this new era of decentralization, decarbonization, but also digitalization. And then we have some objectives in the digital twins, including in the Twin EU, and those are a bit more detailed. These are taken forward by the Twin EU project. I'm not entering into details, also conscious of the time, but it looks at putting in place and demonstrating concepts and main pilots for this and moving things forward. But taking a bit of a step back from all this a bit technical part, I would say, why is this here today with us? And this is me when I mentioned putting you behind the scenes. What was the policy thinking when we started this whole discussion? So it was the idea of having benefits for all the actors in the value chains, and notably for the grid operators, by creating a common vision and establishing a structured cooperation here to put together the practices and don't sort of act in isolation with own means. And we saw that it was quite a clear need to align the views on technical matters. And this is what the task force, the joint task force, is doing, looking at detailed things like use cases, ideas, steps towards having a reference architecture, what are the system services, and so on, looking how we can exchange data and be interoperable. So it's not a one, how should I say, organization endeavor. It's a multi-stakeholder effort here that it's needed to promote innovation and facilitate problem solving in an effective way. And then at some point, there should be guidance for the grid operators on moving this forward, but also moving forward with cost-effective investments in smart grids, capitalizing on the smart grid indicators that I mentioned. And all this is done with a view to alleviate the implementation risks, so to give maximum confidence to everyone that these are mature concepts, are on the right track, and they will actually deliver what they are set to deliver, not just sort of be simply in a buyer position and buy a black box solution and hoping that it will work. And to, again, to facilitate the faster adoption based on this trust that is built. So all in all, it's about facilitating the investments and creating the economies of scale for everybody to move forward with this. I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thanks, George. Okay, then I will take it back again. you stopped sharing, right? No. So, my screen. So, then let's speak about the DSO4DT project. That was actually very nice of George to have a nice overview. I have some things I have in my slides as well, so that I will skip the repetition, especially on the joint work with NSOE on the topic, but I will provide you with additional context, I think. I will concentrate, you see my screen, right? Perfect. So the content now, in deep dive into the project, which I present today to you. I will do a little bit of the background, where we are actually coming from, basically what George already started, and I will provide you a little bit more additional information about it. And then we deep dive into what we are aiming to do in the next 3 years, the 3 years project. Going from the objectives and methodology, I provide you a high-level overview about how the project will be structured. Then we go quickly through the work packages, the timeline, and I will speak a little bit about the stakeholder engagement, because in the end, the project here has the aim to bring all parties working on digital twins in the energy sector in Europe together, and linking them specifically with the distribution system operators, and also across to our colleagues from NSOE and the transmission sector. So let's start with the background. This is a little bit what George always started. You have to start at the bottom here, because that's the work already ongoing. We are, as George introduced, working on digital twins already for quite some time. We signed the Declaration of Intent in 2022, following the action plan on the digitalization of the energy system. And as George said, the DSO Entity and NSOE established a joint task force, the joint task force DSA, digitalization of the energy system, and we established the work in 2023. And since 2024, we have a project plan, an outline project plan, which is an internal document, but which we are following to implement for last year and this year. And this part of this joint collaboration with NSOE is also the establishment of the advisory board, and I see that quite a few advisory board members joined this meeting, so you are familiar with this. And this engagement officially, the project plan ends end of this year, but it is foreseeable that we will collaborate, obviously, further with NSOE, like we do with all our work topics, actually. So it's just right now our work is defined until the end of this year. I'm very sure that we will follow up with something new for 2026. This work is ongoing, and for me, it was always a little bit the bottom-up approach, because we started really just speaking between the system operators on what are our problems, what are our challenges, and what are the opportunities for digital twins. And it was really just the system operators speaking with each other at the beginning. So it was very bottom-up. And now we come a little bit from the other side with the DSO4DT project. Where we work now 2 years just between the system operators, but DSO Entity concluded already some time ago that we would like to have a bigger involvement of external stakeholders or additional knowledge from externals, integrate this in this work together. And the DSO4DT project is all about this further outreach. So basically a much more top-down approach, investigating what solutions and opportunities are already out there for digital twins and how to bring them and roll them out better throughout the European system operators. And the project for sure will enable DSO Entity to intensify our engagement in supporting the development of digital twins. I'm pretty sure everybody connected here knows that we are the new kid on the block. And we are still relatively small, especially compared to NSOE. So the project is helping us to increase our ramp up and intensify the work on digital twins, which we otherwise would work on but now we will work even more on it. The project aims in the end to establish this community and have a larger outreach. So a lot of communication activities and finding this consensus, which also mentioned, and vision, a joint vision on digital twins for the energy sector together. And of course, everything we're doing is in collaboration with NSOE to underline this. And I think in the end, this is fitting perfectly together. We have the DSO4DT project, just coming from top down. We have the ongoing joint task force work bottom up. And in the end, everything runs together for a joint effort towards digital twins or to support digital twins, because we are not doing the development. It's a supporting action, basically. So where is the project coming from? Just very quickly, I think everybody, or many of you are familiar with the Horizon program. So the DSO4DT project is a European Horizon funded project, 100%. It is part of the work program 2023-2024 in cluster 5. These are all the energy projects or energy project calls. And it is a grant to identified beneficiaries. This is a special kind of funding scheme within the Horizon program. There are not so many of them. That's why you have to scroll all the way to the end of the document, because I think there are 5 in the work program 2023-2024. And we are one of them. And this is basically a project call dedicated just for the identified beneficiaries, which is us in this case. So we were the only eligible organization who could apply for this funding. And it was, from the beginning, the purpose was to enhance DSO entities' capability to provide support for the development of digital twins. The project call in this regard explicitly mentions the large Horizon project, which works on digital twins in the energy sector. In the call, it's still the funding number. We know now it is a TwinEU project because it was the funded project consortium. So we are in close collaboration, or our project is meant to enhance the outputs and the results in the TwinEU project. But goes beyond. We will engage with all project or parties and stakeholders which are working on digital twins. And in the end, just from the support scheme, our project is structured as a CSA, as a coordination support action, saying again, we are doing supporting tasks and not developing digital twins by ourselves, because that's not what we are doing. So when we bring this to a point, what is the concrete objectives of the project? We can summarize it to the 3 core objectives outlined in the project proposal. The first one is that the project will mobilize DSO entities members in their support of the European digital twin activities. With digital twin activities, everything is meant which is working on digital twins in one way or another. So that's a collective term which is defined as a project proposal. It is basically, everybody, every stakeholder who could be interested in collaborating with us, and which is mutually beneficial for the work done by DSO entity and then with NSOE. And on the other side, of course, the work on the development of digital twins. The second point is the update of digital twins. So when we identify digital twins, or there are digital twins developed, the question is to bring them further into the field. And the last point is enhancing basically DSO entities' capabilities in doing the first 2 objectives, saying that we are, as outlined before, relatively small. So the enhancing DSO entities' capabilities is a concrete objective of this project. And how do we reach these objectives? The project proposal there defines a 3-step approach in its methodology, where they are overlapping. They're not closely strictly separated, but in the end, you can imagine that the outreach is from more expert level discussions. So in smaller cycles, going further out and bigger to a point where it's about the knowledge management, the knowledge sharing in the point 3. So at first, it is foreseen to have established work level exchanges or contacts between DSO entities, expert groups, and digitalization experts with the relevant digital twin activities, external stakeholders, and establish some kind of work relationship. This needs to be investigated. What is mutual beneficial for DSO entities members and for the digital twin activities? This is the first step. The second step is communicating basically the output and the results of the first step to a larger audience, because digital twins may have an impact on a larger field of operational developments in the system operators world. And of course, at some point, we have to integrate additional feedback outside of the inner circle of the digitalization experts. And this has a large part about additional dissemination tasks, but also bringing physically a lot of stakeholders somehow together. I will come to this in a little bit, but we are aiming to organize at least 2 large-scale events in this project, some kind of conferences in the project halftime, so in month 18, so June, July next year, and then at the end of the project. And then also we have a supporting function how to address especially smaller DSOs in the member states, which usually don't follow the European innovation development so closely. And the project outlines some mechanisms there, how we can reach also smaller members, which we have. And the last one is then going in the direction of boosting the uptake of digital twins with additional webinars and trainings, potentially how to long-term store the information gathered in the project and how to make them easily accessible and understandable. And we link this a little bit to another development which we have in Europe right now, which comes from the Grid Action Plan, and concretely Action 7, which is on the updated Technopedia together with NSOE, and which is this knowledge repository on technologies or innovative technologies, how you want to call it. And there we will also integrate potentially the results which we develop in this project. Well, let's answer the 3 steps, how we want to go. If you want to visualize this in a timeline, very simplified, then we have basically the 3 years project, also 36 project months. We have an ongoing communication activities going on and this community building aspects, where we also plan to provide infrastructure for, also communication channels which are not yet available. It's going over the full project line. But the middle part here is the actual work part. We have started to reach out to, we have started to gather a list of contacts, of organizations, projects, initiatives, associations, which are working on digital twins. And we try to communicate them and invite them today to this meeting. So that's why we are quite a few today. And this is the first light blue block on the top left, so that we kick off and started, inform everybody that we are there now. And then we are doing a repetitive cycle. We do this 2 times. We will now engage in March, April. We start investigating what kind of collaboration is feasible and meaningful. And this is the first step, basically, with all the digital twin activities together, trying to understand what is needed, which kind of information, which kind of exchange is needed by the digital twin activities to support their developments on digital twins from the side of the distribution system operators. And then we will try, if feasible, to provide this support. And that's the second light blue spot on the bottom. And we do this in 2 cycles. Once in the first half of the project, and then we will repeat this in the second cycle around month 18 and then until month 13, where we try to collaborate in a structured way on the development. And that's the main work. And then we have the key milestones and deliverables coming out of this project. There are 3 main deliverables, which we will draft always at the end of the year, where we will summarize the project results in a written report. These are the white blocks, the first report on the state of digital twins across Europe. And we will update and revise this document 3 times throughout the project, so that we have at the end of the project potentially elaborative, comprehensive document about what digital twins are available, where are they useful to be implemented, what is needed for the implementation, and so on. Additionally, then we have these conferences, which I mentioned already, planned for month 18 and month 13. That's the reddish blocks. And then we have, of course, like every Horizon project, we have to write a mock process report, which is mostly for the commission, which is a half-time project report and the final project report. This is it, basically. That's the main slide for today. So if you understood this one, we're basically finishing in class. But let's go in the more details. All the deliverables which you see here and are now on this list also will be public. Everything we want to do is, we will want to be maximum transparent and collaborative on it. So you will see here the work of work package 1, and you can think a little bit of, we have 4 work packages in total. They are more or less linked to the methodology. So on the first work package, we have basically the exchange on the expert level and this investigation of which kind of collaboration is feasible, and then the implementation of the collaboration. And then we, of course, as a project, have to report towards the commission what we did and how we did this, what is the results out of this. So we have the corresponding deliverables on the right side. That's the first work package. We have on the second work package, that is the one which is going more on the dissemination. Here we have the large conferences which we are aiming for, and additionally the mechanism which we want to implement to reach also smaller members, also smaller DSOs. We have a large upscale or uptake from digital twin solutions also by smaller DSOs. Concretely, one mechanism which we foresee here is to collaborate with the national DSO associations, which we have established communication channels to, which can then, also the DSO association, the national DSO associations can potentially act as some kind of multiplier for the dissemination of identified good practices on digital twins. And again, also here we will have to report back to the commission what we are doing and what are the concrete results. We have a series of deliverables outlined. In work package 3, then you have, this is the big summary of the project, the last step of the methodology. Here we will have concretely the 3 main written deliverables of the project, always at the end of the year, but also the activities which are about a long time storage of the gathered results. That is linked to the grid action point, action 7, which I already mentioned, but also this mechanism which we want to establish for an additional collaboration platform, all the tools and the infrastructure needed to form a community or a network on digital twins, meaning having a way to communicate effectively between stakeholders which are interested on digital twins in general, or maybe specific aspects of digital twins. We are planning this, we are not there yet. And the last project, the last work package is the most boring one for you because it's project management, which has all the typical Horizon stuff included, where we have to do the budgeting and stuff like this. And the 2 half-time at the end of the year's project, and the data management plan, which is mandatory for all Horizon projects nowadays. That's it from the work package side. We have here the overview. In total, we have 15 deliverables. Here we outlined. We roughly split them into pods, the ones which are more content-based and the ones which are more process reports. That is just for us internally, basically. But yeah, in the end, we have these 15 deliverables. And like we mentioned before, they will be all public, and the major ones, the major content-driven deliverables will also come with an according, also with a supportive dissemination and webinars or some kind of additional dissemination task on site to bring the messages to everybody who has interest. The work package timeline, just very quickly, obviously, also we have a Gantt chart, of course, where this is all outlined. It's a more detailed version of the high-level one, which I showed you earlier. So I think it's a little interest here for now. I think then what is more important is the stakeholders, or some of the stakeholders we planned to reach out to or already did. Actually, everybody mentioned here, we already addressed to my colleague from our communication department is right now at NLIT Europe, or it's the next event for NLIT. So we will participate in NLIT. We communicated, or we are in discussion with the 2 new project. We had a meeting with DNT. We had exchanges with Current. Obviously, we speak with NSOE basically on a daily basis. And George was here from the commission, and we have also established links to the Open DAI project and Empower. And that's it for now, I would say. And I think we could have some questions. And I see there is already someone. With some rich OEMs. OEMs and the technology providers, right? Oh, I'm embarrassing myself. The equipment factory. We are discussing with DNT and Current, which are the technology providers. So yes, that's actually the main point which was missing so far often. When you look into the Horizon world or the innovation section, often the actual technology providers, which are supplying equipment, software solutions, and so on to many of our members, are often not part of the Horizon innovation projects. This we want to change, definitely. And we had, like I said, already exchanged with DNT concretely shortly before Christmas last year. And I saw our colleague from Siemens is even here, Christiane Mann. So we are speaking, for example, that's Siemens in this case, but we spoke also with Schneider and others. So yes. Dedicated goal. I hope this is answering your question, Olivia. Do we have other questions? That was answering. Feel free to raise your hands or write it in the Q&A box or in the chat. Take a sip of my water. Seems not to be the case. That makes it very easy. Then we close up and we win 20 minutes. Something. The question is, the enabling shared infrastructure for digital twins and linked artificial intelligence. Is it considered in the project? Let me answer this live. We are not there yet. The project started just. We will have to see where it leads us. But now our focus is on digital twins. AI is a different buzzword, which we don't investigate yet specifically. But obviously, again, we have close links to most innovation activities in Europe. And I'm not sure if you are aware, it's an anonymous question, so I don't know who asked this. EDIPSnet is right now preparing a position paper, or white paper, I don't know how they call it, but it's specifically on AIs in the energy sector. And this was addressed or discussed in our group already. Or we have at least an established link there because this activity is driven by one of our board members. So it is somehow, yeah, we have at least a link, established links there, and we have to see if this will run together at some point. Now the questions come in. Do you have current contact with software providers for digital twins and asset management software? That's this answers. With some, like I said, we are quite interested in also having more the technology providers. I summarize this together. Also, this also includes software providers and asset management software providers together. So this is a part which we would like to have to see, or we have a collaboration together with. In the best case, they are already linked in one of the ongoing Horizon projects, or are somehow organized in the European Brussels-based association, or Brussels-based associations. Again, we already reached out to digital to DNT. We have in the advisory board, which we established with NSOE together, many associations, which also represents the software industry more closely. So yes, we are still up-ramping who we spoke to. So we started with speaking with the ones we know better, but we're happy to integrate everybody, also the ones which we forgot so far. So if we didn't reach out to you yet, feel free to come to us. Does digital twin applies to all voltage level, for example, low voltage, moderate voltage? Yes, that depends on the use case. Again, also there, we are not there. We are not developing use cases, not part of this, we are not doing this kind of work in the DSO4DT project. We discussed this in our work with NSOE. And of course, there we have use cases which are addressing different voltage levels. So it depends with the answer. We will see where digital twins, or we hope, of course, in the 3 years project, that we will later have a list of, or better understanding of for which use case digital twins are most useful. And then we will link this, of course, to a voltage level. But I will not answer now if it's makes more sense for low voltage or medium voltage. We are just not there yet. Next one. Did you had a look of what is already existing at TSO level before willing to start from scratch? That is an interesting one. How to start on this? We are, like mentioned at the beginning, we discuss with NSOE daily, basically. And we have a joint task force established with NSOE, meaning the transmission system operators, and we speak with we work on them on digital twins. And we started from zero there, from scratch. That's what I meant at the beginning, from bottom up. Of course, there are a lot of digital solutions which you could declare as some kind of, or some form of digital twins, depending how you want to define it. not only from the transmission side, but also from the DSO side, are already available. So I think one point of this project will be to increase the understanding throughout Europe and the consensus on what is a valid digital twin solution. And then we have to see if TSOs and DSOs, where the solutions running together or where a solution is working for one of the system operators or the other one. I think always by this points from you can use the solutions available from the transmission side. I'm careful. I would be careful because I see this right now not only in the digitalization discussions but also in my other work tasks on the network planning and also the discussion on flexibility. If you try to map solutions which are working for the transmission system operators one-to-one to the distribution system, I think you miss or you underestimate the complexity or the difference of operation partially. So not all solutions established by the transition system operator work one-to-one for this distribution system operator. But again, it depends. And yes, we discussed with NSOE, so we know what they're doing there. What is the general receptiveness among the adapters, perception of value meters? I'm not sure if I understand this question. What is the general receptiveness among the adapters? The perceived, also the adapters are the system operators, right? We are not, also digital twins are a rather new concept, and some of our members, especially the bigger ones, have solutions which they call digital twins, and they are adapting them for themselves. But it's not digital agreed solution, which is largely adapted throughout all our members. I hope that's answering this one. Okay, that's not a question. And so last one, do digital twins apply to real-time systems, SCADA, or do long-term planning tools or both? That's an interesting question. So digital twins, do digital twins apply to real-time systems like SCADA, or do they long-term planning tools or both? That depends how you define digital twins. Some are making a clear link to operation with digital twins. Digital twins should help or improve some kinds of real-time operation of the grids. And power flows, flexibility, utilization, and so on and so on. So this is going more into the real time. There is the other side where it's going more on the planning side. The digital twins should be helping to improve grid planning, especially on the distribution side on this one potentially. And then we are going, this is not real time. I got some planning and capacity, identifying capacity constraints, where do we need grid extension and so on and so on. So that depends on the use case you want to investigate. The project call, where the DSO4DT project is funded from, mentioned both sides, so operation and planning. So the DSO4DT, we will investigate both sides. The real-time side, if you want to call it like this, which I would call the operation and the planning side. Thanks, Fabian. That was interesting. Have you discussed with current members what providers? That's also an interesting one. Have you discussed with current members that provide what providers they use for digital twins? We did not, at least not on a larger scale. We know our members which are active in our digitalization working group. And there we have examples of which providers they're using, or the big ones, their own developments. But we didn't do a comprehensive study, I would call it, throughout our member base. That's also not so easy, since we have a lot of members. But that is something which we should investigate further in the future, for sure. So thanks for Anonymous, who asked this one. Yo, there come more questions. Are decision support tools that allow to examine the trade-off between grid investment and multiple flexibility options, tariffs, connection agreement markets also in the scope? This is going back, actually, I would say, to the question of before, a little bit on the use case for digital twin and the planning and the operation. So in the end, for me at least, digital twins will help to increase understanding of the grid close to real time. And of course, this can be used for planning or for operation. And then we can deep dive in the more specific question on flexibility options, tariffs, connection agreements, or markets. And then, yeah, depending if it's more operational or planning side, it depends on the use case. But yeah, that's we just started. Ask me this again in 1.5 years, maybe. Hey, George, please.
So since the question seems to be ended, I just saw a lot of interest for this, and I think it's clear now that having a coordinated pan-European discussion on all these matters, it's really a good thing to do, to put together all the views, all the experiences, starting from very basic things like what are the definitions, what are the systems entailed, what are the examples, and so on. And I think, as you said, Stefan, many of these things will become much more clearer in a year or two to come. So that would be a great added benefit to this. I think you have a great community to discuss with, both on the DSO and the TSO sides. And when you want to go out of your comfort zone, let's say, reach out to the bridge community with Horizon Europe projects that are active in innovation on energy systems at large, not necessarily focusing on the grids, and you are members of that community there. So just a reminder that they are there to help and pitch in as well. But finally, I wanted to congratulate the DSO entity for starting this project. Wish you good luck with the implementation, and encourage everybody, all the participants that expressed interest today, to participate, get involved, and make sure that extract all the benefits from this participation. Thanks for inviting me today.
Thanks, George. For your remark towards Bridge, we already spoke with Olivier, the chair of the data management working group. So we already took the first steps there, and I'm pretty sure, I think the Bridge General Assembly is end of March, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So it is at least in my calendar already marked, and we will, we've tried to join in one way or another. So definitely something which we will, the opportunity Bridge is fixed on the list of where we reached out, and we address them here also. So I think it's nice. Thanks for everybody for joining. Let's I end with the project team, or the people which helped coming where we are right now. These are the 3 colleagues from the Secretariat. Omar, Ostens, my colleagues. And of course, we are a member-based organization, so the feedback from our members is essential for everything we are doing. And thanks to Madalena and Flora, which are in close discussions there right now. Though, and then I will end it here. So thanks everybody for joining. We won like 7 minutes. That's great. I'm happy to see that we peaked around 100 participations, and we had 175 registrations. I will share the recording and the slides afterwards with everybody who signed up for today. And then I hope we will be in touch and keep discussing with each other. So everybody have a good rest of the week. Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.